Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, how are you? Good to be here with you all today. My name is Tina Patterson. I'm the principal attorney at Patterson Justice Council, PLLC. We're headquartered right here in Detroit, Michigan, and we help homeowners, property owners, investors to protect their property, have their rights respected, and to leave legacies to their lineage. And so, for the last few weeks, we have been talking about building and creating a legacy to sustain. I believe last week we talked about the importance of the people that we have in that plan and why often it's the people we love the most who can hurt us the most, especially when it comes to family. And today, we'll be talking about what you can lose without having a plan. We did a similar video on this back in February, I believe, and we talked about you can lose control, you can lose connection, and you can lose I think it was creation or contribution in that video. But just talking about kind of these intangible things that you can lose if you don't have a plan in place. Today we'll be covering three different things that you can lose without a plan when it comes to the value itself of the plan. Some of it is tangible, right? You can put dollar amounts on it, you can feel it. Some of it is intangible. It's like an unlimited price, there's unlimited value there, and you may not even have it in hand now, but it's something that you can have for years and years to come. So the three things we'll be talking about today when it comes to leaving what you lose without a plan are: number one, land. Okay, number two, leverage, and number three, legacy. So let's get into the first one, land, which you can lose without having a plan in place. You can absolutely lose your land. And for so many of us, particularly African Americans, home ownership and having the actual possession of the home is the greatest source of wealth we have in our portfolio. Now, obviously, as we grow over the years and we amass higher incomes and more property, then it's not just one house. We're talking about multiple properties or multiple homes that we have, whether we live there, rent them out, whatever the case may be. There's value there, and you can absolutely lose it if you don't have a plan in place. Is it guaranteed you're going to lose it? No. But can it be lost? Absolutely, yes. And I've had instances that we're going to get into that now with the story time. So I have two stories I'm thinking about specifically. One, I've said before. So I'll start with the one I think I haven't said yet. So maybe 10 years ago or so, there was a gentleman who passed away, had multiple properties. Two were kind of immediately family owned, and they were adjoining properties. So two properties right next to each other. One was where all the family lived, and the other one was right next to it. Now, both of those homes were secured. There was a probate process in place. So the family was able to retain control of those two homes. However, this gentleman had another home in a surrounding suburb. This is all here in the Detroit, Michigan area, but this can happen anywhere. So location doesn't matter. But for purposes of this story, this is where it was. And the other home was out in a neighboring suburb. The gentleman owned it, but and this is again why who you have in place matters. Who was controlling the estate, the person that was in charge, was not really financially responsible and not really financially competent. And there was some back taxes owed on that home. And they just said, well, let it go because I don't want to control it. I don't want to be responsible for it. I don't want to pay the taxes on it. We'll get into this in a future video, but there are so many people that give up their rights to property simply because they don't want to pay taxes when the taxes are minuscule, honestly, in amount to the value of the property. Okay. So, and this was the widow. All right. So now the widow has the family homes. Let's go of this other house. I don't want to pay the taxes on it. Let it go. So what happens? The home goes into foreclosure. Now the county owns it. And now somebody else can buy it up, fix it up, rent it out when the widow could have done that. And guess how much the taxes were? $3,000. $3,000. Let a home go for $3,000. We think that $3,000 is a lot of money, but in comparison to losing the whole house and losing a whole house where you can actually collect income on it, you can make that $3,000 back in a year, right? But that's how the land was lost. The person didn't want to be responsible for it anymore. There wasn't a plan in place specifically for that property, and it was gone. Second example, which I have told before, was maybe 15, 20 years ago. There was a young woman in her 40s, passed away tragically, left a minor child, no will, minor child, and then a house, owned a home. Now, there's no estate plan, nothing like that. Obviously, the most important thing to take care of is the child, right? Make sure that there's proper care and custody for the child, and that was done, and that was not done without some contention, right, among family. But eventually, the child was adopted into the family, into a loving home, right, and was never separated from other family again or anything like that. So that's the fortunate, the good part. Now, the unfortunate part is that because nothing was ever done with the home, because there was no will, because the guardian, for whatever reason, never went through probate court to secure ownership of the home for the benefit of that minor child, the home was lost. How? Not paying taxes on it, right? So the taxes add up. It was foreclosed. It goes to the county, right, which is the state takes over. And eventually that home was destroyed. Destroyed. There's nothing there now but a piece of just land, just empty lot. It's a vacant lot. And this happened in the city of Detroit. So there's a vacant lot where a home once stood. And now, this 15, 20 years later, the child has grown up. The child has since married and had a child of their own. And instead of having a family home to grow into, the child had to go get their own home with their own mortgage and another location, their own mortgage payments, etc., when they could have had basically a free house waiting for them at 18. You know, land is destroyed, is lost just by not planning for it. These are very simple fixes, but I think oftentimes we just uh obviously get into the run of the mill of the routine, the day-to-day life. Or for so many of us, I hear it often. Oh, it's just a house. It's just a house, and they don't have like millions of dollars, right? Just the house, but that house is so valuable. It's valuable to you. It's valuable to your children, your children's children. I mean, there's so much you can do with it, but oftentimes it's just lost out of a lack of planning, of not leaving something behind to say this is what I want to go there. Okay, so that's the first thing that you can lose without a plan is land. You can lose your land. All right. Second is leverage. Okay, leverage. Leverage for who? For whoever is coming after you. So again, just with the example I talked about with the home that was destroyed and the child who was not able to take that home and create it into a property of their own, excuse me, and had to go start from scratch, find their own house, get their own mortgage, their own bills, responsibilities, and all of that instead of already having a free house waiting for them at 18 years old. So that's the leverage that you can create for the next generation is you can have something already set up for them to benefit from immediately. Now, that's one kind of leverage, just the physical leverage of living there. The second kind of leverage is economic. Okay, economic leverage. And you can do that while you're still here. You can do it for the next generation. You can do it for grandkids. Okay. So let's just talk about the house again, because again, that's often our most valuable asset in the estate plan or in the arsenal of our portfolio, even. And also very versatile. Okay. We don't talk about it a lot, but there are many things you can do in terms of the value of the home, right? We always talk about the mortgage and paying out and paying out. But you can collect income on the house if you're renting it out, renting out a space. If you have another property, you rent it out. You can get a home equity line of credit, right? A HELOC on it. And you borrow against it. So there are many different economic tools that you can use just out of the value of that house. You want to obviously be responsible with it so you don't lose it by not being able to be financially responsible for it. But that again, just like taxes, it shouldn't stop you because there's a risk associated. Manage the risk properly and do what works for you. Okay. But you don't want to lose that leverage. So economically, people can use the home with a home equity line of credit to buy another house for rental income, right? So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1. Or maybe they do it to send their children or grandchildren to college one day, and then the cycle would just repeat itself, right? They pass it on to their child, they pass it on to their grandchild, and then they can do the same for the next generation. You're losing a very big, readily available piece of leverage to you if you don't have the plan in place, because again, so many variables can happen after you're gone. that you don't even consider, you don't think about, you don't want to think about. So that's why it's important to get ahead of it so that you can foresee and almost write into basically your will, right? You write into your will what you want to happen to that land, how you want those other people to benefit. So that's the second thing you can lose. You can lose a big piece of leverage. And then obviously the third thing that you can lose is the legacy, right? If it's the home again, it's no longer standing. There's nothing there anymore to remember all those good times, right? When it comes to legacy, it's legacy for the family. So the family home is gone. Legacy is for the future. So there's no future that can be raised in this piece of property anymore because it's not there anymore. And then foundational legacy, I really wanted to get into. So legacy is not obviously just leaving a piece of property behind, but it's also the lessons you leave behind. It's also uh, the institutions or organizations you leave behind, like whether it's a business that you've started, a nonprofit organization, an actual foundation, right? A charitable organization. There are so many different tools we can use to kind of put our spirit into to still be around after we are physically no longer here. But we don't often think we have, again, quote, it comes to value, have enough to do that, right? It's just enough to be here. But legacy extends beyond the immediate family. It extends beyond the immediate property. Ultimately, what do you want to leave behind? And a question we'll get into, I may make a video on this, is also how long do you want to live? Right now, how long will you live? Because none of us knows that. But how long do you want to live? I often point to the books in my bookcase by luminaries that are not here anymore. Judge Damon J. Keith, he's not here anymore, but we remember his legacy. Reverend Leon Sullivan, he's not here anymore, but we remember his legacy. And he created many institutions that outlived him. Okay, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. here. The SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, is still going strong. And he passed away, or he was assassinated, excuse me, almost 60 years ago, right? But his legacy is still very strong. The King Center, right? Because his widow, Coretta Scott King, made sure that his legacy was enshrined in that center. So for us, we think we have to be, these great, notable global figures to do something similar, but that's not true. Okay. Each one of us has something to leave behind. Each one of us cares enough about something to put our own piece of ourselves in it and have it outlast us. But if we don't have the plan to ensure that, it's not going to get done. Okay. If we don't tell somebody our plans, if we don't write them down in our wills, if we don't create a trust to fund the plan, whatever it is, the legal mechanism is not the most important thing. It's the objective. I always start with the objective. The first thing I talk to my clients about when they tell me what they want or what they're looking for is, okay, why? What is your objective here? What is it that you really want to get out of this? And it's never, oh, I want to trust, I want to will. No, they want this piece of property to be able to sustain it for these people, for the next generation. They want to be able to, have their presence known and mentor these people. This is something that they want. It's bigger than the legal tool. It's just that the legal tool will help them bring about what that plan is. And ultimately, that's what I try to do as an attorney. I'm not trying to tell other people what they need to do and why they need to do this. No, give them the information, but listen to them. What do they want to do? What are they trying to achieve? And how can we do that through the legal mechanism, right? Ethically and in a way that is going to match that objective. And that's what it's all about. Okay, so those things are what you lose without a plan. Yes, the land, right? Of course, the leverage that comes with it, whether it's the land or the retirement account or the bank account, whatever it is, okay? The leverage that comes with it. And then the biggest piece, the legacy, ultimately what you want to bring about from your life, what you want your life to stand for, and how long you want to extend it to the next generation. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If so, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. We are live every Wednesday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that means we will be live again next Wednesday, June 7th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, take care. Bye.